This wonderful introductory book about our philosophy. It's really wonderful. How to Speak Science of Mind. I mean, really, it's what a bargain, actually. So, anybody here for the very first time that would like a packet? Right back there. Welcome, and thank you for bringing her. So, all righty then. Here we are. Firmly in the month of March. I misnamed the month last Sunday. And we are about values. This is our theme for the whole year, is living our life according to positive spiritual living values. And I really invite any of you who have been having a special practice with these values to share it with me so that I can invite you to share it with the community, because this is the slot here that people share about how they're using these great values. And so we've had sharers for most Sundays, and so I need the input. So if you have something that you'd like to share with me, let me talk you into sharing it with the whole community. Our March theme is education and continuous improvement. So the philosophy of science of mind actually started as a philosophy, not a denomination, and it actually started as a teaching order, not a church. So Ernest Holmes would teach this philosophy, and actually it was his idea that this empowering philosophy would make Methodists better Methodists, and Presbyterians better Presbyterians, and Catholics better Catholics. And around the world, in every denomination, he believed that using the principles of science of mind would make you better whatever you are. So the big picture for us as people who practice the science of mind principles are that since we're still here and in a body, that we probably have more growth, development, and improvement to do. Can I get an amen? Amen. Yeah, good. That's great. So looking at, and we actually have a team at home office called Lifelong Learning, the team committee group for lifelong learning. So if I look at the values that are important in continuous lifelong learning, of course I could have chosen any, but instead I am starting with here today, giving and receiving. Because what happens with that circular energy of giving and receiving, it establishes a relationship with everyone and everything, including all of nature, because there was something about our soul that wanted to break through any appearance of separation. So we chose this incarnation where we look all separate, right? Yeah, I mean, you're living in your bodysuit and people next to you are living in their bodysuit, and it sort of feels like we're separate. And so many of our practices have to do with breaking down that illusion of separateness. And giving and receiving are one of those cycles of a cycle of energy, a cycle of love, and even a cycle of stuff, moving around our stuff, giving and receiving, moving in this happy dance of sharing. So giving and receiving is together our definite spiritual paired practice that all of us need to master in order to be happy and to live the life we came to live, I believe. And usually we're good at one and not so good at the other one. So or we are okay receiving what we like to receive, but receiving what somebody has to give that might be not on our list, that's harder. We all have our particular skill set involving giving and receiving, and some of it works and some of it doesn't work, right? Can we? Yeah, some of it works, some of it. Amen, thank you. So that's where the third value of today comes in. And the third value is willingness. So, and willingness is one of those amazing practices that helps you with everything. And we'll get to that towards the end of the talk. The talk today is entitled, No One is Saved by the Bell. Do you remember doing this? Do you remember doing this in high school? You know, when my kids were at home, there was a high school afternoon show on television that was called Saved by the Bell, and it was about a high school tribe of kids, and my kids liked it. And so the idea is, and I was a high school teacher. A lot of you know this. That was my first career. For 3 years, I was a high school teacher, and I did not have to look at the clock because the kids would go like that at about 3 minutes to the bell. And so the idea of, phew, that class is over, we're saved by the bell, is kind of a concept in our space. But the title of the talk is Nobody is Saved by the Bell. So the idea is we are here in this life, and there's not really any freedom from learning until we graduate this life. So you can't wait for a lesson to be over until you learn it. I know it. I know. I feel the same way. It's like, oh God, can't I tell them something else? No. So also, as we get into the meat of the talk, I want to say that I was inspired to start rereading John O'Donohue. I think I have every book written by John O'Donohue, except he might have a book for children that I don't have. But John O'Donohue was an Irish mystic that, for me, you know, kind of paves the way between earth-based spirituality and a Celtic Christian and earthy pagan, I love everything in this realm kind of approach to life. And so, and he's a poet, and he's really all over springtime. And so it was the perfect thing for me, so I had to share it with you. So first of all, we get to ask the question, why are we here? Ever thought that? Why in the, what are we doing in this curriculum that never stops until we graduate? And I want you to keep in mind that those first two values are giving and receiving. So first of all, we're here to give our gifts. So each one of us has a very special collection of gifts to give. And it doesn't really matter if you don't have the gift of curing, you know, an incurable disease or being able to negotiate with every world leader for world peace. You have your special gift of love. You have your brand of love. You have your brand of friendship. And that is really important to give and not keep separate. So this is a part of a blessing that is entitled For the Artist at the Start of Day. So I believe we're all artists. May this be a morning of innocent beginning, when the gift within you slips clear of the sticky web of the personal, with its hurt and its hauntings and fixed fortress cornets. A morning when you become a pure vessel for what wants to ascend from the silence. Isn't that beautiful? If we thought about that when we awake in the morning, what wants to move into the world through me today? That is truly giving our gifts. And to just say, let me be well used, oh God, let me give those gifts. Then, of course, the next is receive blessings. So for us to be available for everything that is for us, because we're here in life not by accident. And so there might be something that is there for you that, you know, you miss many, 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 many mornings. And I believe that there's not just a window of opportunity and then it goes away. If there's something for us, it will be there again. I mean, the postman always rings twice, or 11 times. You don't have to go to UPS to collect it. It's going to be right there for you. Because what we want at the end, when we graduate from this experience of life, we don't want to be lying there and saying, oh, if I had only. That is not a happy time at the end. We don't want to be saying, if I had only opened in that way, if I'd only received what was there for me to receive. So this is what he has what I chose. A lot of times I can open any of these books and there, it's like, it's so amazing. It is more difficult to spend a day well than to write a book. A day is precious because each day is essentially the microcosm of your whole life. Each new day offers possibilities and promises that were never seen before. To engage with honor the full possibility of your life is to engage in a worthy way the possibility of your new day. Each day is different. In the book of Revelation, God said, "The world of the past has gone. Behold, I am making all creation new." The new day deepens what has already happened and unfolds what is surprising, unpredictable, and creative. You may wish to change your life. And I love this next part. You may be in therapy or religion. But your new vision remains merely talk until it enters the practice of your day. And so that is about receiving the blessings. Then so we're here, I think, to receive our gifts, to give our gifts, to receive blessings, and to learn the truth. Now, I'm going to talk more about the truth later on this month, so you might want to keep on coming. But this is what, I love this analogy that John O'Donohue has. There is a beautiful complexity of growth within the human soul. In order to glimpse this, it is helpful to visualize the mind as a tower of windows. Sadly, many people remain trapped at one window, looking out every day at the same scene in the same way. Real growth is experienced when you draw back from that one window, turn and walk around the inner tower of the soul, and see all the different windows that await your gaze. Through these different windows, you can see the new vistas of possibility, presence, and creativity. Complacency, habit, and blindness often prevent you from feeling your life. So much depends on the frame of vision, the window through which we look. And so, if we try looking through a different window, we might get a different hit on the truth. And in one of the, I thought I was going to use this in another talk, but I'll use it in this talk, a wonderful quote, that in order to reach the ultimate truth, often we need to tell the relative truth. So, as far as you know the truth, that's what you speak. Because the truth will change in you as you live it. It will get deeper and more profound and more dangerous and more provocative and more growth-producing. So these generalized ways of being, of giving, receiving, and learning the truth are essential to your soul's development and my soul's development. And nothing will save us from the longing for these things. We can try to numb ourselves, we can try to forget these things, we can say we're too busy, we're distracted, but if we miss out, we're going to get to the graduation day and say, if only. And I do not want that for any of us. So each of these things, giving, receiving, and learning the truth and giving forth of the truth, are important in what we call learning lodges. And we've talked about learning lodges before, and I think sometimes I don't give you the 4 in exactly the same way, and today is no exception. But there's usually 4 different staging areas of our life, how we learn our lessons, where we give our gifts, and so forth. And the first one is family and relationships. So this is a very important way that we approximate being one. You know, I started this talk by saying we're all separate, seemingly, because we live in different bodysuits. And so part of this earthly lesson is to realize that we aren't separate. We're all one. And so relationships and friendships and family are ways that we really work through those issues of, I am not the same as you because I don't approve of you. So when we love people, and this is so important with the song that Jim sang, we approximate that oneness when we love people. So my Facebook contribution to you this week is about this man who wrote a book about Adam and Eve. And it's about Adam and Eve being in love. I don't have his name, and I don't have really the name of the book, but I'm sure if you Googled it, it's going to come out in just a few days, so it'll be all over the place. But basically what he said is that Adam and Eve can tell us a lot about relationships and about being in love. And he said that being in love is not so much about enjoying it when we're in the throes of loving, and that happy time of gazing at our beloved. The real benefit of love is coming back to love after we've gone through conflict. And so, let me tell you that again, that the fabulous part of love, the growth-producing part of love, is not what we like the best, that in love insanity, but it is coming back to love after we have experienced conflict. And so he talks about how Adam and Eve went through betrayal, they went through jealousy, they went through hardship, and then after the first part of Genesis, they went through real issues with their children, for God's sakes, one of them killing the other one, and they got back together all the time. So I thought that was just brilliant, that's a way to look at love. And aren't there continuous ways to give and receive and to learn the truth as we participate in family and relationship? And not only family and relationship, but strangers. People we don't know. People we don't particularly like. Random people, where we can practice that experience of oneness. We can practice that experience of oneness with talking heads on the television. That's a really great one because, you know, usually they're ranting. And so, at least the ones I watch. So it's a practice to say, there is another face of God. There is another face of God. And even the people that have died and graduated and gone on, they are still our teachers all the time. So my son just finished up, he's an opera conductor, and he was working on a production of Dead Man Walking, which is an opera, if you didn't know. In addition to being a book, a play, a movie, it's an opera. And he just finished this up in Washington, D.C. So I know this story pretty well because I've, seen the movie, the play, and the opera. Joseph Desrochers, the killer, who is the dead man walking, who did go through capital punishment and died, Joseph Desrochers is giving every single day because one of those plays, movies, or operas is being performed every single day and bringing audiences to weeping because of the power of love. That is the gift of Joseph Desrochers, still giving it day after day after day. I love that. Every time Shakespeare is quoted in a wedding, Shakespeare is giving, he wrote that, whatever it is, he wrote that for that couple who are in the throes of that happy loving thing without the conflict yet. Okay. Anyway, so the next learning line, don't you love these pictures that Mary found? Work and contribution. Whether you are paid for your work still or you contribute your skills, this is part of where you give and receive until you graduate. And this is also the part where you receive the financial remuneration. It's how you receive your supply is often through your work. And so I have something here from the Father O'Donoghue. Every life needs the possibility of expression. When we perform an action, the invisible within us finds a form and comes to expression. Therefore, our work should be the place where the soul can enjoy becoming visible and present. The rich unknown, reserved, and precious within us can emerge into visible form. Our nature longs deeply for the possibility of expression, which we call work. Now that's a lovely way to think about work, isn't it? To bring the invisible into the visible. So every night before you go to bed, you can say, what did I bring forth today out of the invisible? And you can do that until the day you graduate. I got to do the altar again today because, let me just parenthetically say that Suzanne Dubois had an emergency appendectomy, and Cece, bless her heart, drove her from the office to a hospital in Oakland where she was diagnosed and had surgery Thursday night. So she was going to do the altar, so I got to do it. So we send love to Suzanne Dubois. And gratitude to Cece. So the white Afghan on the altar, my grandmother finished days before she passed. She was always making something. That has been on my bed every single day since she passed, which was probably 28 years ago. That is working and giving your contribution until the end. So the next is body, health, and physical temple. How consistently are we aware of the receiving and the giving that we do with our bodies and what a gift they are? The vehicle for our soul. Our body is so generous because, unless we really are dealing with a health issue or we're strenuously dieting or we are going to the gym all the time, a lot of us are just living here, and we can have such a greater relationship with our body when we are grateful for what it gives to us and grateful for what we receive through it. This is what John says. It is a strange and magical fact to be here, walking around in a body, to have a whole world within you and a world at your fingertips outside you. It is an immense privilege, and it is incredible that humans manage to forget the miracle of being here. It is uncanny how social reality can deaden and numb us so that the mystical wonder of our lives goes totally unnoticed. We are here. We are wildly and dangerously free. Now that's kind of not what you expect to come after, here we are in a body, and isn't that amazing? To say we are wildly and dangerously free. We are free to experience so much through our senses and to allow ourselves to do that. So just in your own insides now, instantly thank a body part. So much is going on. Our breakfast is being digested. Our muscles are balancing us. It's amazing. Then finally, the learning lodge I want to talk about is our spiritual path. This was actually what drove this whole talk, because I wanted to get some information in about our community, because we have a very short annual meeting that only lasts 1 hour today. So I thought, well, I can put a whole bunch of stuff in my talk. But basically, I just want to say that I am so grateful that our spiritual path seems to converge in the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. That whatever else you do and whatever else I do, we come together and we are seeking spiritual truth. We are giving to each other and we are receiving from each other through this precious spiritual community. And so I just want us to realize that the veils between the worlds grow very, very thin as we practice our spirituality, no matter what that is. As we read and study and pray and give and share and all of those kinds of practices that we do, if we do them consciously and say, this is for my spiritual growth, I am giving this to myself and I am receiving from the eternal presence and I am seeking truth, it's very powerful. So these are the learning lodges. And this is also, it's where we give and receive our blessings, but it's also where we have our pain and our lessons if we do not fearlessly charge ahead with giving and receiving. Pain can immobilize us and stagnate us from the giving and receiving. And we can just say, we can stomp our feet and say, no, I am not moving into forgiveness. No, I'm not doing that. No, I won't forgive. I won't share my skills. I have barely enough myself, so I won't share my supply. I am mad at my body for what it's done to me, and so I'm not going to feed it well. And I mean, we do these crazy things. And anywhere there's pain in your life, it is because there is stagnation or stuckness somewhere in a learning lodge. And I am not willing to give, receive, and seek for the truth. That's all it is. We just stamp our feet and say, no, I'm going to stay on this side of the pain, and I am not going to learn what I have to learn to go to the other side. And guess what? We get to stay in the pain until we give up and say, all right, I'm willing. So this image is so amazing to me. It's like if we give God as little an opening as willingness. We don't have to say, I'm going to. We don't have to say, I want to. We don't have to say, I'm committed to. We can say, I am willing to tiptoe into this, whatever it is. That's all we need, all God needs. And this amazing rainbow is laid out before us. That is all we need. So, to be able to say, I am willing to consider forgiveness. I am willing to consider generosity. I have no idea what is next, but I am willing to have it be revealed to me. So, it's the gentlest, most loving, sweetest practice to get unstuck. Willingness is the miracle, unstuck consciousness. So in conclusion, I want to tell you a little story about spring, because spring to me is the ultimate willingness of God to give again. So this is a little insight into one of my practices that I'm not very good at. This is a day book. It's called The Gardener's Way. And there's a meditation every single day. There's a little quote, there's a little information, and then there's an affirmation. And what I have used this for, especially every spring, is to document, among other things, which rose is the winner every spring. who it is that has my first bloom. And so it usually doesn't happen until around March or April 1st. Around April 1st, we get full color buds. And so I name the roses through the years. But I happened to turn to March 11th yesterday because the ornamental pear tree was in full bloom. It was the first day, and it only lasts a few days. These petals are already blowing off. So March 11th was the first day that the pear tree was in full bloom. So I open it to March 11th, and 2007, 2008, 2016, pear tree in full bloom, smack dab on March 11th. Not any other days around there does it say that the pear tree is in full bloom. That is the willingness of nature to birth itself again. So the altar has the four elements in the appropriate directions. So this is north, this is the earth. And so the pear tree is holding down the earth energy for the north. The east is air, and this is a shamanic object of mine. This is an owl wing. And this was given to me long ago. I mean, I think it's illegal to have birds of prey parts, but this was an old owl from long ago. So it would have been dead long time ago. And the south is fire, and the west is water. And I have like a simulated lake in the woods. So you are more than welcome to come up to the altar after the service and bless yourself with this holy water. So this is where we live. This is the giving of nature and our receptivity for it. And I just bless my pear tree and my whole backyard and the roses that are looking like little soldiers. They're just such red leaves on them. And so I'll tell you this is the first time I'm going to tell you this, because I'm not going to be here on Mother's Day. When I normally bring the roses for all the moms, I'm going to be in Scotland this year with some of you. And so I am planning on doing a whole parent blessing on Father's Day. We'll have moms and dads blessed on Father's Day, okay? So that's the first time I'm telling you, so there won't be any disappointment. Here we go. Here's the giving, receiving, and willingness. May these be yours. May these be mine. As we go into the inner work, I'd like the practitioners to surround the community. The benediction, or the blessing at the end today, is another John O'Donohue blessing. It's simply entitled, A Blessing. Blessed be the longing that brought you here and that quickens your soul with wonder. May you have the courage to befriend your eternal longing. May you enjoy the critical and creative companionship of the question, who am I? And may it brighten your longing. May a secret providence guide your thought and shelter your feeling. May your mind inhabit your life with the same sureness with which your body belongs to the world. May the sense of something absent enlarge your life. May your soul be as free as the ever-new waves of the sea. May you succumb to the danger of growth. May you live in the neighborhood of wonder. May you belong to love with the wildness of dance. And may you know that you are ever embraced in the kind circle of God. And so it is.
To serve